welcome to this week's video. This week's video, I am back home, back where I grew up on the Isle of Sheppey. Now I go on and on about how awesome rock pooling is and how much I love rocky shore coastlines, which are coastlines with hard rocks and rock pools. But that is not where I grew up or what I did as a kid. I grew up here on the Isle of Sheppey in the Thames estuary, which is basically clay, sand and mud, as you can see from the walkout. Now you might think, oh well, that's a shame. If you've grown up in Wales or Pembroke or Scotland where there was lots of rocky shore coast, Devon, then that would have been perfect for you, because you seem to go on about rock pools so much, but actually there is so much life here and so much interesting things to find on this beach that I love it just as much. Today is winter. It's a really nice day in winter, but it also means that the life's going to be a bit harder to find, because like most things in winter, they hunker out the way and disappear off if they can. But there is still plenty of species that I hope to find today to show you guys a sandy shore habitat and what I grew up with. So I've just found our first species to talk about. Have you spotted it yet? These things here are called tube worms. They are things that they're worms that form a tube out of sand. So they get mucousy and slimy on the outside and all sticky, and they collect all the good bits of sand around them to blend in and to give them a bit of stability and protection, which is also really key for kind of like the hardening of banks around them. So as you walked out, and I showed you the footprints, it's all muddy. Here, I walk along, it's not really muddy at all, but that's because there's a sandbank here, and part of the reason that there is also a sandbank here and that these species could live here is because they kind of, like roots in soil, provide stability to the sand so that it's moving around a bit less and can form a bank, which is where most of the stuff that can grow on the surface and stay in one place grows here. There's also still some seaweeds kicking around. They die off mostly for winter because they know they can come back in summer, but sometimes it helps to have a few ones around. This I think is a little bit of ulva, and good on him for trying to stick it out for the winter. I definitely want to see seaweeds that left. So I'm just going to have a wander now and see what else I can find. I really loved collecting shells from the beach. So although sometimes on a sandy shore you won't find all the species you want living, there's often, especially on this beach, a lot of things washed up, and there's a lot of awesome, really pretty shells are washed up, so I'll probably that you can have a look at. Honestly, this is what I love, just coming up to beaches and getting your hands on things like this and getting to see firsthand these different types of shells and different types of species. But sandy shores can be absolutely key and vital parts of the they are absolutely key and vital parts of the ecosystem. They provide food for birds, for foraging mammals, for fish. They are as productive as rocky shores. They just don't look quite as fancy. But I'll give them that. They're subtle. They're the underrated ecosystem. A little bit of a notice about going to sandy shores. I know this beach very well, and even now I'm cautious. I've just come from the sandbank, which you can see here. So this is the shore. There's a bit of mud, which is normally fine. Sandbank, and then we are back to the mud again. You need to be careful when you're on the rocky shore when you're on the sandy shore, to make sure that you're not going and taking any unnecessary risks. I'm here with people, so they know I'm here, but you should always let someone know that you're going, and you should never ever stray too far out of your depth and walk out with the tide. Just make sure, just make sure that you've got wellies on that are not strapped to your feet. So some people masking tape their wellies to the bottom of their boots to make sure that they don't slip off if they're rubbing. Don't do that on here, because if your foot gets stuck, then the easiest way to get out is to let your welly disappear. Drop your welly, take your foot out without, and you can't really do that with masking tape, especially because I know there are some places on this beach, especially further up, that you can put your foot in and be knee deep instantly. And it's just taking the precautions. This is my area of study, and I think this beach is a massive reason of why I enjoy biofouling so much, because you can see a lot, but a lot hidden, and then we get one of these, which is a mooring line from a buoy that I think has disappeared, and you get all these different species on there. So we've got, even in winter, we've got lava, different types of ulva species, we've got barnacles, we've got another different type of seaweed, we've got an oyster attached to the bottom. And that's why I love biofouling so much, why I find it so interesting, is that you can have this whole ecosystem, and one hard bit of surface difference and it changes exactly what grows on it, which I find really fascinating. And the part of the reason I like it is because we like to put different stuffs in different ecosystems and not really think too much about it. I want to think more about it. I want to make sure that whatever we're putting into the sea, we know what's going to grow on it, and we know what effect that might have surrounding it. And I think this beach probably has a big reason to do with it, because as a kid I'd be the one that would run up to mooring buoys and finding old tyres and searching for crabs. It would always be interested in what was found around the man-made stuff, because that was the stuff that was easier to find, and there tended to be a lot more on it, which is very strange to think that me finding crabs as a kid has changed my entire life and directed it from the beach. Yeah, but I like it, so good choice to me. Sound effects required. See, sandy shores are so random. We've had beach, mud, sand dune, mud. I don't even know what to call this. A pile of rocks. Let's see if we can find some interesting stuff. Mussel there. Barnacles. Eons. I noticed this guy wiggling around in this shell. I don't know if you can see, but the thing kind of half cut off by the camera is actually an organism. It's an amphipod, and let me just kind of tell you the anatomy so that you can get your bearings about what it is. It's kind of similar to what an isopod is. Now, an isopod, probably the most common one that you guys will know, is of a woodlouse, or if you come from Kent and this area of the beach I'm studying, a pea bug. It's kind of the same as that, just flattened the other way. It's also a bit shrimp-like. They're what sea lice are. Found these really cool anemones, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I've seen tiny ones that live in the sand. So there are certain types of anemones that find something lower in the sand to like stabilise on like a pebble or something and live there. But I haven't seen this big, and I'm not sure it's the same species because it's not the same patterning. Yeah, and he's really pretty. Oh, Diggy. It's a super cool find. Super cool. Having got back to the shore and googled what these absolutely stunning anemones are, they are dahlia anemones, which I knew it was at the back of my memory. I knew I'd seen them before, I just couldn't remember where. I only ever seen one before on a field trip that I did in undergrad, and they can come in all these different crazy colours, and I was so excited because I have never seen them down the beach before at Minster Beach on the Isle of Sheppey, and I was super chuffed. I mean, come on, they are so gorgeous. What a beautiful guy. It was such a good anemone. We are reaching the water's edge now. I wish I could show you some birds, but obviously birds have wings and therefore can afford to be skittish by flying away. And they just genuinely, they're all over there. You kind of see that bunch just chilling out on their own because, you know, why would they hang around us when they're scary two-legged humans? I'd rather hang around with birds if I was a bird, so. Seaweed just doing his thing and chilling out, but synthesising, and hopefully not too cold. Just put my hand in the water and forgot that it's winter and it's chilly. It always amazes me how far out this tide goes. It's not really one of the biggest tidal ranges in the UK. In fact, I live in Swansea, which is the second or the first or one of them really high tidal range. But this is still incredibly far out. Over here you can see the docks at Sheerness up there. All this land. All this land opens up for you to explore at low tide, and I could not be more grateful to the moon at this point in time. Thank you, moon. Which is there, I always thought was a really beautiful type of seaweed. But I'd never seen it in any ID books, and I never really remembered to go home and like look up what it was. I kind of just thought that one day I would read something or see in a book and be like, oh, that's that seaweed that I find on the beach at home and haven't really seen anywhere else. And I just got the macro lens out on my camera with the little lens just to go on my phone because I thought, oh well, it would be nice to see what this looks like up close. And it's not a seaweed. I think it's a hydroid, which are little individual organisms called zooids. Kind of little individual organisms form a colonial organism. So each zooid has a little feedy thing in with tentacles and eats and filter feeds stuff in, but it itself wouldn't survive on its own, so it's teamed up with all of its pretty much clones of itself to produce a bigger. I think that's amazing. So just as a reiteration, and I'll link below to the video. Oh, that's a pretty shell. show that in a minute. I think it's just worth getting hold of one of those macro lenses for your phone, because they are so good, and I would never have known that because you can't see it with the eye without that magnification. That was a hydroid and not a seaweed. So now I can go back home and look up roughly what I think that species might be, and now I'll know where to look, because otherwise we're looking completely the wrong ID roads. You can see this shell was cute. There's a worm in this shell. This is a really cool shell. In there, a thing, wiggle in. What an awesome little glimpse into that worm's life. Oh, it was so cute. See, don't underestimate sandy shores. There are so many cool things, if not small things, small and cool things hiding out here, which is weird. Say once and I'll say it again, I feel so privileged to be able to live in the UK, which is so close to so many shores, and it just has so many awesome species. I mean, honestly, my heart is never happiest as when I'm outside exploring and looking for species and just getting a little glimpse into their world and their lives, and I think that's a real privilege, and I think there's a real sense of awesome respect that I have for the marine environment. These are bryozoans. This is the encrusted form of a bryozoan. This species is really cool. It is a bryozoan, again, but an erect form that forms kind of like a leafy thing. It's called Flustra phallosa, and if you take a bit, rub it between your fingers, give it a bit of this squeeze, smell it, it smells like lemon. This species is really easy to confuse with a plant, but get it under a bit of magnification and you can see that, like the hydroids, they are made up of individual zooids that form a colony rather than a whole organism, and I just think they're really cool that something so tiny can make something so plant-like and big, which is really cool. One of my favourite species, and what a cool letter name, Flustra phallosa, or something like that. That's what I call it anyway. Liz Latin. Now I've got Tyre coming up. This is a staple of my childhood because they're a home of crabs. It's winter, so there will be less crabs, but let us see if anything is lurking. You're going to be crab cam. Are you ready to be crab cam? Don't think we're lucky enough, ladies and gentlemen. There's a rock. Let's go check that out. Rock. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I love exploring this beach. I hope you have enjoyed something a bit different and seeing some more southern species, as I am southern to the UK myself, so I feel like I've come back to what I grew up with, which is very nice, and nice for a change to be back down here and have a chance to explore. But I have had an absolutely smashing time today. I've really enjoyed it. I think we found some great things. I'm going to go home and look up what the anemone is. Of course, by the time you see this, I would have already looked it up and therefore spoken about it on camera to you. the only thing left to do when you've had a good rock climbing session is dance. We'll see you next time, guys. I hope you had a good time. Bye now.